God, I can tell with all that gold you're loaded, aren't you? Eh? Right, everybody, we want now to introduce you to something very special indeed. A real historic document signed by Charles Dickens himself. What a guy. Obviously a prolific writer, but also a prolific communicator with people around the country and the world. And you, madam, own a real piece of history, don't you? Introduce yourself.
My name's Maura Kennan, and I have this little tiny envelope, very unpresuming, and it is signed on the front by Charles Dickens. It's a Charles Dickens envelope.
So that was his own personalised stationery.
It's got a penny red, and it is addressed to his lawyer in London. And there are lots of letters still existing to this lawyer in London about his books and about the rights to his books. And I saw one recently about our mutual friend. So a lot of correspondence has gone to this man.
It's very small, isn't it?
It is tiny.
It's a tiny little letter, and it's in very crisp condition.
Wonderfully crisp.
Yeah.
It's very, very crisp. How did you come about it?
It was in a group of envelopes that my mother-in-law had collected somewhere, and it was with my husband's childhood stamp album, and it was all piled into a big plastic bag, and I looked through it and found this one.
So it's a real find, isn't it? It really is.
It's got any value, it's mine.
Oh, are you the husband? Come on in, sir. Let's see if we can make you rich. Yeah. What was your name?
Tony.
Tony. Great to see you, Tony. Wow. I mean, anything Charles Dickens is going to be desirable, isn't it? It's going to be. And Charles Dickens was a great marketeer of himself, which is why he has his own stationery stamped on the reverse. And I think one of the reasons why he was known always to sign his letters on the front of the envelope, because he was famous in his own lifetime, another way of self-promoting himself. Isn't that what? Don't you love people who self-promote themselves? I mean, look. Do you wear that on a Saturday night?
Yes.
Yeah.
So do I.
I think I've spoken to you two in Darlington late at night. I'll tell you about that later.
What you haven't mentioned as well is that he did the wonders of the tourist trade to Barnard Castle.
He did. The blue plaque.
He arrived in Barnard Castle for, I think he stayed a whole 3 nighs.
Yes.
When he was writing.
Was it Do the Big Boys? Yes. But the thing is, I think every single town in Britain has a blue plaque saying that Charles Dickens stayed here, because he travelled the country with his one-man shows, reading his own books to packed houses, making lots of money. He was brilliant. But what's interesting also, and David Elstob will tell you, is there is a penny red. Mm-hmm. The world's, I think, most prolifically produced stamp. I'm just going to check with the audience here, see how clever they are. When was the first stamp introduced to Britain and, of course, then the world? What year? 1840. Well done, sir. And it was the penny black. And how long did they produce the penny black for?
6 years?
No, 1 year. And why did they replace the penny black with the penny red? Easy to forge. So when they used to stamp the mark on the penny black, you couldn't see the ink mark, so they made it red, so the cancellation mark showed up. But the most interesting thing about the penny red, even though it is the world's most prolifically produced stamp, they made billions of them, is that stamp on its own is worth a fiver. Unless we got a magnifying glass and we examine very closely the numbers imprinted around the outside edge of that stamp, which they are there. Mm-hmm. And if we could find the elusive 77 on that penny red, it would make it a plate 77 penny red, which is one of the rarest stamps on the planet. So whatever. Have you got a penny red at home? So whatever David Elstob values this letter by Charles Dickens at, it is worth that, plus whatever it's worth, if that is a plate 77 penny red. Because if you can buy a standard penny red for a tenner, how much do you think a plate 77 stamp is worth? How much? 10 grand. 15. 500 pounds? 500,000 for a stamp. Give them a round of applause. 500,000 pounds. So anyone listening at home, wherever you're watching this, or you lot in the audience, if you have a penny red at home, get your magnifying glass out and ring me if you find 77, because I'm on 20%. Okay, so back to you then, David Elstob.
I mean, amazing. It's the first time I've ever come across one, Charles Dickens letters. I have seen them sold before.
Okay, but don't give the valuation yet, but tell us anything else you want to tell us.
It's just wonderful. I mean, it's so crisp.
It is.
That's the thing.
Is.
The envelope and everything's so crisp. It's like it's just never been touched. Ink and everything's very still good, not faded.
And isn't it wonderful that it was found? And that's why it's so crisp, because it's been hidden away for generations. Okay, shall we test the audience?
Yes.
Okay, audience. How much do we think? Oh, 2 grand. 10,000. God, I can tell with all that gold you're loaded, aren't you? Eh? 10,000, David. 2,000, 10,000.
I think a couple of thousand plus a tenner for the stamp.
Yeah. So you have no faith that's a plate 77, do you?
No.
So a couple of
Should
thousand
make a
pounds.
couple of thousand.
Easy, all day long. Now, what are you going to do with it?
I don't know.
What do you think she should do? Sell it.
Well, we
Gives
can't-
it back to
yeah.
me. It's my mother got it.
And we can't pass it on because we've got 4 children, so
Yeah.
we can't cut it up and
Sell it. Shall we sell it and make a video of it selling and do a follow-on video? Shall we do that? Shall we do that? Do you want to do that?
Check the stamp first.
Well, we will check the stamp. We will definitely check the stamp. Okay, so viewers at home, keep your eyes peeled because there may well be a following video watching the Charles Dickens letter sell, and we will check out the penny red. We'll let you know.